G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my movie reviews. Now if you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. It is truly appreciated. And if you wouldn't mind, please do hit that thumbs up button. Helps with the whole YouTube algorithm thing. And of course, consider subscribing to the channel. Be much appreciated. I am working my way towards 1,000 subscribers. So yeah, everyone definitely helps. And speaking of subscribers, before we get into this film, I do want to say a big thank you to all my existing subscribers. We're getting there, slowly but surely. So thank you very much for your continued support. I know I say it every week, but I do mean it, so thank you. Now, let's get into the movie. And look, we are looking at The Mean One. Now, this is one which stars David Howard Thornton, but not as Art the Clown, obviously, which is what he's probably most well known for. But this is another one of those silent portrayals of his, and he does it really well. So, now, the film came out in 2022, apparently 2023 maybe. I'm pretty sure it came out in Australia last year, but I may be wrong. Who knows? IMDb says 2022, so let's go with that. The film was directed by Stephen Lamort and stars, of course, David Howard Thornton, Crystal Martin, Chase Mullins, and many, many more. Now, the plot. In a sleepy mountain town, Cindy's parents are murdered and her Christmas is stolen by a bloodthirsty green figure in a red Santa suit. So yeah. Okay, now first up, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen this film, you've been warned. Now, have you ever thought to yourself, what if the Grinch went full-on slasher mode? Well, if the answer is yes, then this movie is for you. Now, this is a parody horror film that reimagines Dr. Seuss's beloved Green Christmas Thief as a deranged maniac, a psychopath who's terrorizing a small mountain town. It's bizarre, it's campy, it's as ridiculous as it sounds, and sometimes it's to its benefit, and other times not so much. So let's deck the halls and see what the deal is with the... They never actually say the Grinch in this. There's something that interrupts it. They never actually say the Grinch. I'm assuming that's due to copyright, so yeah, let's check out The Mean One.
Like big bushy, teaching ninja on the prowl, smacking on pretenders with a salty caramel growl. 60-second flicks, reviews hotter than the sun. Sword master underwater battles never done. Vodka shot, steady hand, cold as ice. Critics in the crosshairs, he don't think twice. Movie scenes dissected, sliced with precision. Beard game strong, legendary vision. Ninja ninja, bare royal pristine. Voice flashing waves, no denying he's a king. Salted caramel lessons, leaves him in awe. Movie review, assassin laying down law. Ninja ninja, bare royal pristine. Voice slicing waves, no denying he's the king. Salted caramel essence, leaves him in awe. Movie review, assassin laying down law. Bare oil pack, ready for the fight. Where the sharks afflicts, he conquers the night. From silver screens to ocean depths below, Ninja ninja reigns, that's all you gotta know. Bare oil stash glistening in the light. Mixed vodka with knowledge crafting in sight. Shark fin haters, they scatter per sight. Ninja ninja's wisdom, looking dynamite. Legends we craft deep from tales people tell. Salted caramel dreams, see the vodka infused shell. 60 seconds flat, analyzing with flair. Ninja ninja forever, ain't nobody compared.
All right, so kicking it off with the cast, and look, David Howard Thornton. Clearly he has a knack for playing really unnerving villains, and his portrayal of the Mean One is the highlight of this movie. Thornton's physicality brings a manic energy to the role, and it makes the character both creepy and weirdly amusing. Just the way he moves, the looks on his face, the performance is somewhat undercut. However, and this is due to the movie's reluctance to develop the Mean One beyond a one-dimensional slasher figure. They don't really delve too deeply into it. There is also way too many cut flash scenes, which really do rob him of any real way to bring the character fully to life. Crystal Martin is fine as our heroine Cindy, but the script gives her very little depth to work with. Her character arc is very predictable, and the dialogue often veers into cringeworthy territory. We also have the town mayor, who is clearly hiding something, and the sheriff, but they're mostly forgettable, and there's very little effort put into their backstories or motivations, and they merely serve as fodder for the mean and green one. So now onto the directing and the writing, and look, the film leans heavily on familiar tropes, from horror parodies without adding much originality to it. And, this might make it feel redundant for seasoned genre fans. Unfortunately, the tropes that they use are neither funny nor scary. The film's biggest struggle lies in its tone, and it tries to juggle horror and comedy, but it very rarely succeeds in blending the two. I've said it before, it's tough to mix horror comedy. When it works really well. Unfortunately, when it doesn't, which is all too often, it really just feels forced. And the jokes about holiday cliches and the absurdity of the killer Grinch, they do sometimes land in this one, but they're often drowned out by very clunky dialogue and heavy-handed exposition. Meanwhile, the horror elements, they lack tension and suspense that's needed to make them effective. So yeah, the jokes aren't funny and the scares aren't scary. This actually leads into some major pacing issues. The film's runtime is 90 minutes, and some parts of the plot feel rushed and very underdeveloped, particularly the conspiracy to bring hikers to the mountain for the mean one. That's a major one for me. That felt really underdeveloped, and by leaving key elements out of the story or having them underutilized within the story, this makes the movie as a whole feel just underwhelming. And okay, so in the third act, there's a big showdown between Cindy and the mean one. But what the fuck was with the lens flare? Seriously, was J.J. Abrams directing that scene? Because there was so much lens flare, I thought I was going to go blind. So now onto the effects. And look, the practical design of the mean one is commendable. He's got this very gruesome bear-like appearance that strikes a balance between familiarity and horror. But I mentioned its bear-like appearance, and honestly, it did feel more in line with the Winnie the Pooh character from Blood and Honey and Blood and Honey 2. It still looked good, but it felt more in line with that. And given its lower budget, the mean one understandably relies on practical effects and stylized gore, but the results are very inconsistent. Some kills are very creative, while others look cheap and unconvincing. And there's the use of CGI blood in some of them. But then there's parts where bodies are torn apart, and that looks really good. And now on to rewatchability. Look, the mean one is an interesting experiment that thrives on its offbeat concept and dedicated performance by its lead. But I can't see myself going back and rewatching this one. Not that it's not worth a watch. It definitely is, as it has some very clever writing to it. The directing is fine, and the performance by David Howard Thornton is fantastic. But the uneven pacing and tone, it really took me out of the film. And also, I mentioned in my review of Silent Night that the main character, turning from an everyday regular Joe into an unstoppable killing machine in 1 year, well, Cindy does it in a few hours. And it's a very similar montage, training montage. So yeah, I don't know why I felt like I need to add that part in there, but yeah, that just did not make any sense to me. Now, overall, this film knows it's ridiculous and it revels in that absurdity. Making it a fun watch for fans of niche horror comedies or holiday-themed spoofs. But it's not a film for everyone, and it doesn't try to be. If you're expecting anything beyond some campy gore and a few chuckles, you might find yourself a little bit disappointed. Overall, for a score, I would give The Mean One a 4 out of 10. There you have it. That is The Mean One from 2022 or 2023, depending on where you look. So have you seen this film? What did you think of it? Am I right? Am I wrong? Let me know down in the comments below, because I'm keen to hear everyone's thoughts on this film. To me, I think it could have really been something, and it does really feel like a almost Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey-esque film. And I know I had my issues with the first Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but the sequel, I loved it. I thought it was really well done. Could this do the same? If there was a Mean One Part 2, could it go the same route as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 and be an excellent movie? Well, who knows? Maybe we'll find out one day. But anyway, look, before I dribble on too much, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. And of course, if you haven't and you're still watching, subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I do release a new review. Obviously, we're going through a bunch of Christmas holiday, horror, action-themed movies. Leading into the new year, we'll have something coming up, so keep an eye out for that. But as always, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye. Between familiar fuck.
In the shadow sharp as a blade, 60 seconds hitting like a fast-paced raid. The head of genius breaking down the plot. Vodka shots, taking aim at the big shots. Jesse Tuesday.